Hello and welcome to FATcast number 2. This is Low Fat Gaming and we are recording on the Thursday, the 7th of March 2013. I'm Dave Green and with me is the kind of angry but completely sexy Matt Reynolds.
Hello again.
And all the way from Australia, born to convicts, it's Wildman Bill Boreham.
Hello.
Okay, so we're here just to talk about the usual shit. We've got a lot of things to go through today. We've got things we've been playing, some big games out this week, some big news, and we also have some strong reader questions this week. But first of all, before we crack on with it, you may have noticed in the last Batcast that Matt mysteriously disappeared during the reader questions. And,
Sorry.
Yeah, he was really looking forward to this bit. I think he was really excited about it, and he was gutted that he missed them. So, as a little question bonus for you guys listening, and for Matt, we're going to ask him the two that he missed. So, the first one was, what is your favourite Rockstar game, Matt? And if you say Max Payne 3, I'm going to speak to you ever again.
Yeah, okay, I better make these answers good now that we've built it up and I've had to come back and do them. So yeah, my favourite Rockstar game is Max Payne 3. No, it's not really. No, I think it's going to be Red Dead Redemption. I absolutely love it. It was a toss-up between that and GTA 4. And GTA 4 would be mainly just because of kind of, I don't know, where I was in my life at that point. And just like was playing it in the evenings when my daughter was asleep, was living on my own, and it was just such a good game, fantastic. I've been waiting for so long for it, I've been hyped up so much, and just it completely lived up to it to me. I mean, obviously that didn't have as much of the old fannying around as the other GTA games had in the past. It didn't necessarily have so much kind of fun elements to it, but I thought the story was great. The world was just second to none, and I thought it couldn't get any better than that. And then Red Dead Redemption came along, and with that, I'm not really into westerns, to be honest. I will say, actually, obviously we'll lead on to the other question in a minute, but I love Deadwood as well, absolutely love it. But funnily enough, I'm not that into westerns. I don't really like a lot of western films and things, but something about that game, just watching those walkthrough kind of world introduction videos they did leading up to the release, I just thought they did such a brilliant job with that, of getting me excited, and I'm sure they did loads of other people. I just thought, especially like looking at the multiplayer and how you could all form posses and kind of go around and do what you wanted, I just thought it looked absolutely amazing. And then obviously playing through that story with that ending, all the music, the world is just fantastic, and I don't think they could have done a better job, really. I think the gunplay was a lot better than GTA. Just that Euphoria engine again, just so good, just knocking people off their horses and shooting out equine kneecaps all over the place. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, well, I won't spend too long on it, but that was basically it.
It was
again,
it's quite a unique game, really, isn't it? I mean, there was Gun as well that came out the end of the last generation and the start. It came out as a launch for 360, actually.
I never played that.
That was all right, but there's nothing else really like Red Dead, is there? Really, even Red Dead Revolver, the original, is nothing like Red Dead Redemption. You well, don't you, Bill?
Sorry?
You're a fan of it as well, aren't you, Bill?
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's just those. I like those physics that they use. That's basically why I play their games. I just like doing sick things to people. Yeah, it's it's just good. I really liked it. It was I liked GTA 4 a little bit more though, I think. But yeah, I did when I played it. I was actually watching Deadwood at the time, so that made it even better. So really good.
Strong
Indeed. Strong swearing.
Yeah.
If you played a drinking game when you're watching Deadwood, the amount of times they say cocksucker, if you had to take a shot every time they say that, you'd be dead in about 5 minutes.
One of my favourite bits in Deadwood was when Al Swearingen calls someone a motherfucker, and he goes, "How dare you motherfuck me?" And he takes it as if it's like the worst thing that anyone has ever said to him. In his life.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I called you a motherfucker, but if you read this piece of shit, fuck my mother. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Almost Shakespearean in its swearing in a way. It's kind of poetic, you know.
Yeah, it's very like good. The anti-Western, isn't it, in a lot of ways? And so Red Dead Redemption as well, in a way, because that was obviously set at the death of the American Wild West. It was start of CIA and all that sort of stuff, and big government, and then it was and they captured that. The piece that we had from the community on it was really, really good. Actually, it talks about that quite a bit, where it sort of captured the feeling of the West Island. John Marston was the last of the dying breed, and it was a really good game. It's a good choice. So we'll move on to the next question anyway. which we kind of touched on a little bit there anyway. What is your favourite TV or film show that you'd like to see turned into a game?
Yeah, well, as I was saying to you before we started, I was gutted that I missed your mention of Battlestar Galactica, because for me that is the greatest TV show of all time, bar none. And I've seen all the other shows you were talking about, and I love them all. You know, I love Sopranos, Deadwood, I love Breaking Bad, all that kind of shit. I love it all. But for me, I mean, being a massive sci-fi fan anyway, Battlestar Galactica is just the best thing ever. I mean, it's CGI is a little bit ropey now in the first couple of series. I mean, you really have to get through the kind of season 1 and the mini-series and stuff before they got a bit of a better budget, I think, and started getting kind of the Cylons look a bit ridiculous in the first series. But if you can get past that, I mean, it's got some of the greatest acting I've ever seen in it, quite frankly, not to big it up too much, but just all the cast are pitch perfect in it, and it's just stunning. And I like the fact as well that even though it's, you know, billed as a space opera, in that, I mean, they go through so many different genres through different episodes. I mean, you've got halfway through the whole kind of arc of the story, you've got a courtroom drama that comes into it that's really well done. You've got an episode which is basically like a Rocky movie, where they're just boxing and working out all their deep-seated issues through the kind of underground boxing scene on the ship. And I just love the fact with that all the technology was really kind of antiquated compared to everything else, you know, that they'd had before. Because obviously, as you said last time, the whole of humanity's been wiped out and they don't have anything left. And obviously, to combat the Cylons and their kind of heavy use of technology, the Battlestars are complete antique. You know, they don't use any kind of intranet or anything, do they, if I remember rightly? No. It's all just old school telephones and stuff. Yeah. I like the fact there's no stupid aliens in it. There's no lasers. It's all machine guns and missiles and things. It's very gritty. It's almost like, you know, like a Full Metal Jacket in space, the way they tried to do it. Yeah. And it's just stunning. I mean, it's a bit, as you know, it's heavily religious in themes, if not in kind of necessarily its message. And we won't get into too many heavy themes, but not being a religious person myself, some of that didn't sit too well with me. But overall, just absolutely stunning, amazing music. And I think, like you said you think it'd be good as a Mass Effect style game. I'd argue Mass Effect basically is Battlestar Galactica. It's 50% Battlestar, 50% Star Trek, I think. Yeah. It's already, you know, it's already been done. And as you said, there's other games of Battlestar that have never really captured it. But I think if you were going to do an overt Battlestar game, a Mass Effect style game would be the way to go. And I mean, obviously, for fans of Battlestar, anyway, Mass Effect's like a wet dream because there's so many of the voice actors in it, like Trisha Helfer, one of the Cylons is ED. Yeah, and I can't remember the name of the guy in CSEC, but he's Michael Hogan, who is Captain Corporal Ty, whatever he was. So that'd be good. And then the only other thing I'll quickly say before we move on is just started rewatching the X-Files from the beginning because I realised to my delight they had all 202 episodes on Netflix, and I've never actually watched it all the way through, so I thought I'd give that a go, and that made me think kind of X-Files would be quite nice. I think in a kind of, you could have LA Noire kind of style interviews and interrogations of people, and you know, people who've witnessed alien abductions. You could have it kind of open world, but kind of like Alan Wake as well, kind of spooky and those kind of mechanics. I think would be really nice. That's my 10 cents on that.
Cool. Well, there you go. That's those questions there. So let me just point out about the Netflix thing before people go on there and look for X-Files and are disappointed. It's the American Netflix that's on. So
of course it is. I should have mentioned that. I used a little trick to get American Netflix. So you are right. Yeah.
If you don't know how to do the trick, look it up on the internet. It's very easy and it's well worth doing.
And as far as I'm aware, it's totally legal as well. So it's all good.
Yeah, and it's so much better than the European Netflix, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic. I know people that give Netflix a bad rap, but I think even with the British one, if you're into TV shows more than films, which to be honest these days I am, because I think the quality often far outweighs films, then you can't go wrong with it really. It's a bargain, £6 a month, watch as many like box sets as you want really.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right then, so that's that. That's a couple of little bonus questions there for the reason. Sorry, I've not jotted down the names of the people that asked those questions, but I'm sure you know who you are. So what we'll do is we'll start out with a little bit of what we've been playing. While me and Matt have been talking quite a lot already, so we'll ask Bill first. So Bill, you've been playing quite a few things lately, haven't you? On the PC.
Yep. Well, as I said last podcast, I've been playing Aliens Colonial Marines. I just kept playing it because I was thinking, there's probably something in this game that's going to be good. There has to be something because it's very bad, the whole game. And I was actually saying to Matt the other night that there's I think it's about halfway through the game. There's this section where you get stripped of all your weapons, and there's like this sort of big alien that's sort of chasing you, and you have to crawl through these tunnels, and it's like Splinter Cell basically. And you just got this thing that's just like it's chasing you, and you just have to like move really slowly through all these tunnels and stuff, and you go through all these sort of sewers. And there's these frozen, I guess they're sort of frozen, like these frozen aliens that are just sort of standing there. And every now and then they'll actually move and walk around, but they're blind and they can smell. I think that's actually how it is in the Alien films, isn't it? They're actually blind.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So they basically.
They're sure, actually.
They sort of just listen, and you just have to creep through. But it's like just really tense, and then it goes back to just being crap again. So, but it was sort of, it was good for like 30 minutes or something. So yeah, it was worth playing. I'm up to the last mission now. I haven't finished it yet, but it's just gone really bad now. Basically, all you do is you just run through corridors, just shooting aliens, just shooting aliens, and then for about 30 minutes, I would switch to humans. You shoot the humans, switch back to aliens. It's like I actually got to the end of one of the missions, and it said I'd shot, I think, 200 aliens or something like that. It's just ridiculous. Like they're just so weak, and they just run backwards all the time.
That's just crazy because, like, an alien, you see anyone who's a fan of the films, or even not a fan of the films, have just seen, like, especially the first 3 ones, like, they're a unique sort of creature, and one alien can wipe out an entire ship full of people, or colony, in fact.
Yeah, no, it's
like,
ridiculous.
And, like, again, where you're just, like, popping cap into their asses, left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
And they're not actually scary either. They just basically, because of the AI in the game, they'll be running backwards, and then they'll fall through the floor, and they'll just die. And then you'll just go through a door or something, and then another one pops out, but it sort of gets stuck in the wall or something, and it just glitches out again. You shoot it in the head, and it dies instantly, and then you move forward again. It's just like really boring. They could have had it so there's like 2 aliens per level, and they hunt you, and you just have to. It's like Splinter Cell basically. You just have to sneak around all the time. That would have been fine, but so far it's absolutely not a horror game at all. There's nothing. So yeah. So what are you gonna say?
Yeah, as I said in my review, it's like that series has been raped to death as far as I'm concerned. It's just like you said, that's the key thing. They're not scary anymore in any way in the films or in the games. They're just absolute cannon fodder. There's no sense of terror. And as we should have said probably last time, I mean, we shouldn't probably spend too much more time on aliens, but they should have given it to someone like Visceral or someone like that who do Dead Space, or someone who knows how to do horror.
Yeah.
So many different ways that you could go with an alien game, and I think a first-person shooter isn't the right way.
No.
Unless it's something like, I don't know if you remember it, Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth, that was on the original.
Oh yeah, that's good. I love that game.
And it was a first-person perspective, but you didn't even get a gun for the first 5 hours.
Yeah.
And you're literally having to evade people and get out of the way. And if you actually saw any of like the creatures and the monsters, if you actually saw them on the screen, character would go insane through fear. So you had to try and avoid looking at them.
Yeah, that's a good game.
Room and they'd be moving around.
It's a bit like Bill Boreham's profile pictures then.
Yeah.
You got to really avoid looking at them. Otherwise they turn to stone.
Yeah, that's the way I would go with an alien game if you had to do first person. If to be honest with you, I think it just needs a complete break, the Alien franchise, from games, and just sort of go back to the drawing board and give it to someone who actually loves the series, because it didn't seem there was any love from it coming from that game anyway. So what else have you been playing, Bill? You've been modding GTA 4 quite a lot, haven't you, on PC?
Yeah, basically, because I'm writing about mods actually for the blog at the moment.
Fingerless gloves.
Yeah, so I found something amazing the other night. Basically, I downloaded this sort of program that lets you go into all of GTA 4's sort of textures and stuff, and you can sort of mix things and edit them in Photoshop. And as I was going through, I was looking at, obviously in GTA 4 you play as Nico Bellic, and I was just going through all his different options.
Nico! Cousin!
I was going through his different options and his textures and stuff, and I noticed that there was 2 files, and it said one of the files was actually deactivated. And I was like, oh, what's this? And it said something about, it's for his hands. And I switched the files over, delete the ones that were there, and it just activated these ones. And I went back into the game, and he's actually got fingerless gloves now, which when they were promoting GTA 4, they had all these posters everywhere of Nico, and he's sort of standing there, and he's putting on these fingerless gloves. When I actually go around to playing the game, he doesn't have the gloves. That's really annoying because I love fingerless gloves. So I was just outside screaming at the sky, crying. But yeah, basically I fixed it now, so he actually has his gloves, which is interesting that they've just
Probably something to do with just getting it running on the Xbox 360 and PS3, to be honest.
adds one more
I mean,
frame or something.
I think they had enough trouble getting it working on PS3 anyway, because it was delayed. Do you remember it was delayed for 6 months because huge trouble was getting it running on PS3 at the time because of the loading from the Blu-ray, wasn't it, onto the game? It was just everyone knows like you can store more memory, you can store more information on a Blu-ray disc, but it takes longer for it to load it into the game. And they're having huge
ages.
Yeah, and they're having huge problems with GTA 4, so that's probably what it is. There's probably all sorts of stuff hidden away in there that they just had to get rid of just to get it to.
Yeah, but basically, I haven't modded it that much. I like to sort of, I don't like to ruin a game with mods. I don't like to sort of change the textures too much. Basically, I've just been trying to get it to run better because I'm using Games for Windows Live, which is basically it's like Microsoft's version of Steam. But it's really bad. Like if you look up reviews for it, I think it's got like half a star. It just basically makes games just they crash all the time, and you'll go back into the game and you've lost your save. It's horrible. So basically, I've just been adding sort of small mods like motion blur and some depth of field and a little bit of anti-aliasing. You know, for some
I was just
reason.
about to ask you actually, do the fingerless gloves have anti-aliasing?
No, they didn't, but they do now. They look nice and smooth.
Shocking.
Yep. So and the other game I've been playing is System Shock 2 for the first time. Actually, I've never played it before. I played some of the original, but I didn't really like it that much at the time. I hadn't played on PC much, so yeah. But it's
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the good thing about this is an updated version, so it has like widescreen and all that, and it just looks a lot better. Like the textures look sharper. So yeah, I've just been playing that. I'm not really that far into it. I think I've played it for about an hour or something like that. You start off and you sort of you do some training, and then you have to spend a few years sort of training and stuff, and you just go. You don't actually get to play that bit, but you just sort of your character will go away on a ship, and then he comes back a year later, and then you sort of just work. That's just basically you working out what stats you want and stuff. But then afterwards, you sort of these sort of creatures have infiltrated the ship, and you're sort of just running around, and it's really creepy actually, which is strange because it's so old. I didn't think it would actually be that scary, but the atmosphere is just amazing. Like straight away, you look out this window and you can see these. I think it's just like a nurse or something. She's running, and there's this creature chasing after her. It kind of looks like one of the splices out of BioShock, but a little bit different. But it's just sort of really creepy. Like you sort of feel alone, and you don't have. It's probably because I'm playing on the hard difficulty, but I don't really have much ammo, so I'm sort of just running around with this wrench that I've picked up. It's just really tense. Just going around, looking in rooms, sort of opening drawers and finding a couple clips for your gun. It's just sort of. I don't really know much about it. They don't really tell you much with the plot. It's sort of. You just have to sort of explore. They sort of say a bit about what happened in the first game at the beginning, how there was the AI that took over the ship or whatever. But yeah, it's just really good. Anyway, really, really good. So
anyone who's a fan of Deus Ex, any of the Deus Exes, or particularly BioShock, will probably get a lot of mileage from it. It's obviously Ken Levine was the man behind System Shock 2 as well. And there's a lot of similarities. BioShock is kind of like the spiritual successor, whereas System Shock is in space, BioShock's underwater, and other than that, it's almost there's a lot of the same themes.
Oh yeah, it's even got the those I can't remember what they're called, plasmids.
Yeah.
That you use that, and you got your gun in one hand, and you can just like switch, and you got your plasmids out in the other hand, and you can shoot like fireballs or whatever at people. So yeah, it sort of feels the same.
Okay, so cool. Okay, so me and Matt have been pretty much playing just the one game that's really relevant at the moment, and that's Tomb Raider, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have to say, coming in as a complete non-fan of Tomb Raider, I've never liked any of the games, to be honest. I didn't think they were particularly good platformers, which is what they were supposed to be. I thought the controls were always horrible. Even on the latest ones, on the current gen ones as well, was never a big fan. I have to say that I'm really, really enjoying it. And so far, I'm probably about... I've switched it on before and I'm about 60% through. I'd say it's probably the best game this year, I'd say, so far. Unless it goes completely nosedives towards the end. What do you reckon, Matt?
Yeah, I completely agree. I absolutely love it. I'm bowled over by it, to be honest. It's definitely the best game that's been out so far. I know we're only in March, but and BioShock's probably going to eclipse it very quickly. But yeah, it's so good. I mean, I'm not a Tomb Raider fan either. I kind of enjoyed Underworld. I think, was that the last one, Underworld, that came out a couple of years back? Only because my wife was playing it, and I thought it looked quite good. It was very pretty at the time, so I thought, give it a go. But yeah, Tomb Raider, I've never understood anything about why people like that game at all. I mean, the music's quite nice. But apart from that, I don't know, old pixel tits just jumping about, polygon tits and polygon tits and a square ass, and that's about it. Jumping, missing the edges of platforms, turning with a horrible DualShock, as you all know from last week. I fucking hate the DualShock anyway. Just, back in those days in playing Tomb Raider 1, just the fact you had to just press left or right just to turn her, and then you had to move forward and all this bloody hell, it's just so tedious. And yeah, I just never got it. I understood the allure of kind of exploring ancient lost civilizations and discovering relics and things, but I just never thought they really pulled it off, to be honest. But
no, I didn't either, because I think the whole premise of it originally was Indiana Jones or a woman, wasn't it? And that's cool, that's fine. But the thing that used to bother me about it, and I was like a teenager, a gaming teenager when Tomb Raider came out, and like in those days, so we're talking 15, 14, 16 years ago maybe. When did the first Tomb Raider come out? 97 or something like that, was it?
I think you're right, actually, yeah.
So it was about 16 years ago, so I'd have been about 14, so I was in high school. Gaming then was still like a little dirty secret in a lot of ways, and you'd get really kind of defensive about it in some ways, because people think you were like, you're a nerd or you're a weirdo or whatever. And Tomb Raider comes along with some woman who had absolutely ginormo tits, and just that's what it all seemed like it was about. Like it was like, oh, forget about the game. Look at the size of this woman's, And then like when the second and third games came along, it was even worse. I think I remember seeing advertising for the third. I think I was actually working in Game Station at the time when the third one came out, and like the advertising stuff that we got in for it was just basically Lara Croft in a bikini. And it's
not right, is it? It's not what you want if your game's about supposedly a strong kind of heroine.
Yeah, and that's what's really good about this one. And I don't know if it's because they've just gone back to the drawing board, or I think getting Rhianna Pratchett in to write it has been a massive boon in the favour of the game, because
definitely
she's a rounded figure of a character. She's still obviously meant to be an attractive girl. That's fine. She's very intelligent, but she's actually strong, and she has she actually feels like a character this time around. Whereas in the other ones, she wasn't a character at all.
I mean, she was like James Bond, wasn't she? Really, she basically a kind of faceless avatar for all your own fantasies, whether they be sexual or adventurous, and kind of like, I guess, what they've been trying to do with Bond in the last few films. They kind of tried to give him a bit of a personality and a backstory, and I'd argue that they've succeeded far more with Lara Croft than they have with Bond, actually, in that respect. And it's so good. It's so nice to see. And I just want to say as well, even on Xbox, it looks fucking stunning. It's one of the best looking games on the console, I think. My friend Sam, who's one of the members of our community, as you've probably seen, was going on about that and showing some screenshots. And so obviously the 360 one's not going to match up to the PC, but after some of the shocking ports we've had recently, I mean, my hatred of Far Cry 3 is just exponentially just gets worse every time I think about that fucking game. That was one of the most horrendous ports I'd ever seen, and I think I really had low expectations for Tomb Raider in terms of how it was going to cope on the system, but it's so good. It's like just a dream, smooth. Yeah, it's smooth. The lighting and everything's absolutely fantastic. I can't believe they're doing it on this 8-year-old console. I really can't. And the mechanics are absolutely fine. It's solid in this one. They finally got it right. The shooting feels okay. It's not the best shooting ever, but for this kind of game, it absolutely works. You've got the bow, which is a nice addition. Obviously, it seems to be the kind of in vogue thing at the minute to have bows in your game. But the platforming works, which is one of the most important things. It's solid. When you press the jump button, she fucking jumps, which is probably the most important thing. So I'm really pleased with it. I'm not as far in as you. I think I'm about 20% done, something like that. But played a good few hours of it. I mean, I've been breathing it in, kind of wandering around looking for the relics, looking for all these little side passages. And I like the fact as well, I can already tell it's kind of Metroidvania-esque in terms of the fact that I've been places and it said you need different climbing gear to access this. So I think, there will be some replay value there as well. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving it.
And you get in, it's good because I'm a little bit further on the game, you get in a good sort of amount of new gear through quite regular. So it's not like a few games where it just throws everything at you at the start and then, it keeps feeding you stuff. I mean, it's absolutely brutal as well. I don't know what it is. I was thinking about this when I was playing it today, some of the things that Lara goes through in it, and I was kind of shocked at first by some of it. Not so much what was happening. Violence doesn't really shock me that much, but I suppose it's good. It's good because violence should be shocking. But I think I'm shocked more because it's happening to a young lady.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the deaths are the best in it. They're absolutely brutal, and it's something that actually I would say it's always been a part of Tomb Raider. I mean, I know my my wife used to play it when she was young, the first Tomb Raider, and she used to really panic. I mean, she was quite young at the time. She's a bit younger than me. I'm a filthy bastard, and she used to cry every time Lara drowned, and that horrible like strangulating kind of drowning noise. And so that the deaths have always been a bit of a part of Tomb Raider, but they've really ramped it up here, haven't they? I mean, she gets impaled, she gets strangled, she drowns. It's just
brilliant.
It's not even death though. It's like even the way she gets tossed around, falling through things. It's like it's such a huge impact. And like when she gets like nicked by an arrow, you can like she screams, and you can actually see on her body there's burns on her arms and stuff as it goes on. And it's interesting because I think if that was Nathan Drake, and obviously there's a lot of parallels to Uncharted in this because it is like Tomb Raider meets Batman Arkham Asylum meets Uncharted in a lot of ways. If that was Nathan Drake, you wouldn't really care. You'd be like, oh, Nathan Drake getting nearly shot at, whatever. But I think it's because it is like a young woman, and the way she's been animated, she's very sort of small compared to the other characters. She's very slender. I think they really sort of ramp up the way that this woman is really in a really dangerous situation, and you actually do really feel shocked when something gets rammed through like the side of her stomach and all this sort of stuff and everything. It's actually got a lot to say about violence in video games, I think, in that kind of way, because you're just not used to seeing a woman get hurt like that.
No, exactly. I mean, I think there's a little bit of narrative dissonance when, she's shocked the first time she kills somebody, and she's obviously visibly shaken by it, and then 5 minutes later she's mowing people down with a bow through the neck, headshots through the eyes, all this kind of thing. So I think you're always going to get that in games. I don't think there's really a good way to handle that. I mean, obviously Far Cry 3 had a bit of the same problem last year in that he's like, oh my God, what have I done now? And then he's just 2 minutes later, he's like, yeehaw, motherfucker!
Yeah, they actually went
everyone down.
They went that way purposely, I think, because they actually made him, instead of not enjoying it like Lara Croft is, he actually revelled in it and was like, until the end when he looks at his hands and goes, what have I become? Oh, God.
Yeah, it's just such a token kind of gesture, though. It's like, and I know they did it on purpose in that game, but like I was saying, it was, again, in that such a quick change. Just from, oh my God, I've killed someone, to, oh my God, I really fucking love killing people. This is brilliant. So they're always going to have that problem in games, because obviously you've got what the character is saying, but then what the player is doing as well, and they don't always gel very well. But I think, having said that, this game does it better than most, I think.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I hate Max Payne 3, actually. That's more because of Rockstar's insistence on what Max Payne is to how you're playing it. But anyway, that's a completely different discussion. But we're enjoying Tomb Raider, I think it's fair to say. I think it says a lot of interesting things. I mean, as an actual game, it works perfectly fine. I could actually do with a lot less of the shooting, to be honest. I do enjoy the shooting in it, but I do think... like you say, you're completely right there. I think from what they're trying to say in the story-wise, it is a bit... I know Lara touched on it a few times, it's quite good when you're walking around and she comments on things that she can see and what's happening. Like, you might shoot someone and she'd be like, those guys were going to kill me and needed to do it and all this sort of stuff. So they have put in these little nods to it, and it's always going to be a problem. But yeah, it's a really good game, and I think it's good that it's been getting kind of universal praise, because for the last 6 or 7 months, pretty much every single game that's come out has been completely divisive. And for whatever reason, I think it's just a bit of fatigue now to the end of this generation, but it seems like everyone's kind of really got behind it, which is good to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a quality product. I know that sounds a bit cold to call it a product, but it just is. It's put together well. It's made really well, and crucially, it's a reboot, and they've done it right. They've got it right completely. This is a drastic change, I think, to what Tomb Raider was before, and it's what it's needed for so long. They failed on numerous attempts of kind of reinvigorating the franchise, and this is what people need to look at when they reboot a game. Yeah. They just need to completely change it for kind of capturing the zeitgeist for today and today's gamers, and making it relevant, I think. And I think they've absolutely done that 100%.
Brilliant. Okay, so that's leading us into something that we're going to talk about now. Talk about reboots and refreshes. This week we had the announcement of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
Sigh.
Now, sigh in the background.
Obviously, there was a couple of articles went up on the site. First of a new series actually called Tag Team, where one of us will take one kind of view and one will take the other. And on this one, we come down on that side. I'm a fan of Assassin's Creed, but when I heard about it, I was like, oh, God, again so soon. And then Doug, who sometimes writes for the site, actually rang me up the morning and was like, "Oh, this sounds amazing," and he generally actually does think it was. So it was a good little thing to explore. And I think since it was leaked first, and I think generally everyone was kind of apathetic towards it. But then since more has come out about the game, I think more people are kind of turning around to what it's going to be about. So, Phil, you're not an actual big fan of Assassin's Creed at all, are you? But you're a big Hitman fan.
I did like Assassin's Creed 2. I really liked that. But yeah, more of a Hitman fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Assassin's Creed 2 is the best of the series so far, and you're a big Hitman fan. You love that kind of sandbox kind of Assassin's thing. Do you think? I think we all think that's the way it needs to go. Assassin's Creed. It needs to take more of that kind of thing. Do you think, from what you've seen from that, not the leak, but from what they've actually been talking about, does it kind of interest you a little bit more?
No. I'm just completely over that series now. I just want it to go away. I posted on Facebook the other day, Twitter the other day. I just want it to basically disappear along with Call of Duty. They've had their time now. They need to just go away. Like even Hitman, it's sort of yeah. Sorry. Even Hitman sort of felt like I was very disappointed with Hitman Absolution. It's just that more of the same thing. I get a bit sick of it, especially when they're not really changing anything. Like with Deus Ex, they had Deus Ex and they had Deus Ex Human Revolution. They changed a lot. Like they looked at what the fans liked, and they sort of kept a lot of that stuff. They kept like the boxes and stuff that you have to pile up, but also they made it so that they innovated in a lot of ways. But I just think that's what they need to do. They need to listen to what the fans are saying. And they need to change it. They just keep making the same game over and over and over again. People are going to get sick of it. A lot of people already are sick of it. So either they change or they just go away.
Okay, Matt, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, for fuck's sake! That's basically my thoughts. I'm going to get on my hate box right now. The angry bald twat is coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, I could not give a tuppenny fuck about this game. Seriously, I just Assassin's Creed 3 came out. When was that? Was it October?
October, yeah.
Bloody hell, that's only a few months back, and they're already announcing this. I know it was leaked, but it was only leaked by a few days, and oh my god. The thing with Assassins is I find it so weird, and I know a lot of people like it. As I said last time, I've got varying degrees of enjoyment out of all of them. I've played all the Assassins games, all the ones on Xbox anyway. I've not played the Vita one or anything, but my favourite is actually Brotherhood. I think that's the pinnacle of the series for me, not 2, just because... I don't know, the missions in it were more interesting, I thought. I liked the recruitment and things in that one. But I don't know. I'm going to take the stance that Assassin's Creed's never been a good game. It's always looked absolutely wonderful. The historical recreation is absolutely fantastic. And, like you said, you're a history buff, and it's lovely to have a game that's almost educational in that way. You can learn a lot about the time periods that they use, and I've learned a lot of things that I didn't know through it. But in terms of a game, I feel like there's nothing there. Even for me, maybe it's just something psychological in me, but no matter what they add to that series, it just feels hollow to me. It feels like The Emperor's New Clothes every single time. It's just the first game I actually enjoyed more than a lot of people did, because it obviously had quite a divisive reception when it first came out, and I was expecting it to be shite from what everyone was saying, but I kind of enjoyed it. The second one, I would argue, is a little bit overrated, to be honest. Only in terms of, I think the reason people love it is because in terms of how you should do a sequel, then they got it right. They listened to the criticisms of the first one and they put more game in there. They made it more interesting, and they gave you a character who's obviously had a lot of personality, as opposed to good old stoic Altair there in the first game. You might as well just be an empty hood, basically, because it's just absolutely no personality. But I would still argue as a game, I think people just got caught up in, oh wow, you can do this and that now, and you can loot these people, and we've got all these new mechanics and side missions, and we don't have to just do the same 3 fucking things all over again, ad infinitum. And so I think people got a bit carried away in that. I still don't think it's a great game compared to a lot of other big blockbuster games that have come out this generation. And they've just fucking done it to death now. I just think, even though Brotherhood's my favourite, ironically, I think they shouldn't have done Brotherhood. They shouldn't have done Revelations. It should have been 1, 2, and 3, and then maybe 4 now, and that would be great. Because, I love pirates. Who doesn't love pirates? Pirates are great. Pirates get drunk, they pillage and loot and carry off the farmer's wife, whatever, there's nothing not to like about pirates. I just look at it, he's got the same fucking stupid hood. And I just think this game might be about pirates, but it's just an aesthetic coating, as far as I'm concerned. It's going to be the same old shit yet again. I mean, it's obviously going to be geared more towards the naval missions, which were great in Assassin's Creed 3. And like yourself, Dave, I'm a bit of an apologist. I did enjoy Assassin's Creed 3. I thought it was, it was nice to have that different setting after the other two kind of games really did Ezio to death, I think.
Yeah.
And I quite like Connor as well. I thought he was all right. I know, again, he was a bit more devoid of personality than Ezio, but I thought had his good points. And the game, the game looked lovely. Obviously, it struggled on 360, but I didn't have too many problems with it, to be honest. I mean, I like the fact as well this is coming out on next gen as well. I think it could look beautiful. I mean, if you're in the Caribbean, hopefully, and things like that, I don't know much about the game yet, but we'll get these crystal blue waters and jungles and things, and hopefully it'll have a bit more colour than some of the other AC games have had. But sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but my thoughts at the minute, fuck this game. I don't want it.
Fair enough. I mean, I think it literally is kind of 50-50. There's a lot of excited people, and as I said, like hopefully people have read my piece that I did on the website. When I first heard about it, I just was like, I just really give it a break, because I think Assassin's Creed 3 had a lot of potential, and I think they just really, really struggled. It was handicapped with them trying to get it on current gen. I just, I don't see why they're doing another one for current gen. They should just wait for next gen and just do it on that, and just give it the setting and the power that it deserves.
Yeah.
Since it's been revealed more about it, I'm a little bit more excited about it. The guys who are making it have completely thrown Revelations and Assassin's Creed Creed 3 under the bus. They've just really been talking horrible things about it. It's by a completely different team. This has been being worked on since 2011. So what I can see him happen actually is maybe I think Ubisoft want this to be their Call of Duty. I don't think it's going away, because Assassin's Creed 3 didn't sell as well as the other Assassin's Creeds, but it still sold a hell of a lot.
14 million copies, wasn't it? I think so. Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
And I can see it going the way of being Ubisoft's Call of Duty. I can see if Black Flag is well received and it does well, I can see Assassin's Creed Black Flag 2, and I can see Assassin's Creed 5 on alternative years going forwards, because at the end of the day, a lot of people will be excited about a pirate franchise, I think.
Yeah, I'd rather see a Rockstar pirate game, though, to be honest.
Yeah. But that's actually a question we've been asked a lot, actually, and we'll throw it in there. A lot of people have been asking us on the sites there, what open world Rockstar game would you like to see next? And I think other than a 1970s themed Grand Theft Auto, which I'd fucking love to see,
that'd be good.
I'd love to see a pirate game. Rockstar Pirates would be pretty fun. What do you guys think?
Agreed. Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably just a good assassination game, because the thing about Assassin's Creed is that it's a good game. I've only played Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and Brotherhood. Was it? Did Brotherhood come before Revelations? Yeah. I haven't played Revelations yet. But the problem I've always had with it is that it's a good game, but it's just not a good assassination game. It's not focused on assassinations anymore. The first one was sort of, 50% of the time you're sort of going around on your horse and you're picking up flags and stuff, and the other 50% is you getting ready for assassinations and then assassinating your targets. And then as the games have gone on, that's become less and less. It's more just about running around and going to see, famous people, going to see, Leonardo da Vinci and stuff. So I would just like to see basically Assassin's Creed, but just back with focus on assassinations again. So if Rockstar could do that, and if they add in that engine as well, the physics engine, awesome. That would just be amazing.
It's a good idea.
Star Assassin's Creed game. There we go. That would be something to talk about, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, can I just quickly say as well? I'm going to be. I don't know if it's a controversial point or not, actually, but I would also argue Assassin's Creed has never done assassinations well either.
No, it hasn't.
It might just linear. Be me, but I've always felt like I've got through them, especially in the first game, just by the skin of my teeth, and basically by jumping on someone and mashing X. Now, that might just be me, again, being impatient and not looking at it, but compared to something even like Hitman, which I've only ever played Absolution, that gave you a lot more options. In Assassins, I just felt like they say you can do whatever you want, but you can't really. It's just, even back then, it was just... jump over the wall, try and land on this guy's head, and then have to fight your way through about 10,000 blokes just to get out again. And that isn't really an assassination game, is it? Let's be honest.
I think that's the reason why the series has gone the way it is, because obviously they've kept a lot of the engine and mechanics from the first game. And the first game was kind of more based on assassinating this guy however you like, but because it was so hard to actually do anything in that, you actually felt like the worst assassin in the fucking world. Like,
Yeah.
Pulled into places, stabbed someone, ran away for a while, hid in a haystack, got caught again, ran off for a little bit. Well, it was like turning some sort of like the Benny Hill of assassination.
They need that Benny Hill theme tune going.
And I think that's the reason why, like, as the games have gone on, they've taken that choice away from you so much, because the mechanics just wouldn't suit doing whatever you like. Hopefully, with this next one, they're talking about saying they're going to give you a lot more freedom. I mean, there's a lot of games now, your Hitmans, your Dishonored's, that do assassination a lot better than Assassin's Creed ever has. And that brings us on to the next thing we're going to talk about, all about reboots and refreshings and assassinations, is something I'm really excited about, is Thief 4, or now known as Thief, has been announced this week. We all knew it was coming. It was supposed to be coming out this generation, but it's looking like it's going to be next year, and it's going to be a complete next generation release. It's from the same developers, but not the same team that did Deus Ex: Human Revolution. So they've got experience in refreshing and rebooting series, and I'm really excited about it. I love the Thief series. I've really missed it since it's been away. Thief 3 on the old PS2 and Xbox was it's just Xbox and PC. Sorry, was amazing. The original two, and you can get them off GOG.com for super cheap now, are brilliant still. I just want to know if either of you two have ever played them before. Bill, I think you've played one of them, haven't you?
I have the entire trilogy sitting on my desktop waiting to be played. I started... It's Deadly Shadows is the third one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep, I started that. I did the first mission, I think the tutorial mission. I was waiting to get like GTA 4 out the way that I'm going to start playing it, but the tutorial mission seemed really good. It still looks really nice as well, especially in widescreen. And there's heaps of mods out now as well, like texture mods and stuff, so you can get it looking real nice. Yeah, it looks fun, because I love Splinter Cell and stuff.
Well, it's a first-person stealth game, so it's very... And a lot of people, when they've seen it, obviously Thief has been away for a long time. I've been saying, it looks like Dishonored, and it does, but I think Dishonored took a lot from Thief, to be honest, a hell of a lot. And I like Dishonored quite a lot as well. But I think people just need to go in with an open mind. I think it's going to be really good. Have you looked into it at all, Matt? Have you got any thoughts on this one?
The Thief series has completely passed me by, to be honest. I never played it, and I actually know nothing about it, so I can't really weigh in on the conversation, but maybe you can tell me a little bit about it, because I'm interested in it. It sounds good.
Sure, yeah. Well, so the Thief games, basically, it's the storyline's pretty hackneyed. It's kind of like your usual sort of fantasy sort of fare. You're a guy who's a master thief. He grew up as an orphan. He lives in a city where like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
Oh, tragic.
Yeah, and he's like kind of like he's a master thief called Garrett, and but he's got a bit of a heart. He's a kind of a tough guy, but then he has kind of a bit of a heart somewhere in there as well.
Does he rescue cats from trees?
Yeah, that sort of thing. He'll look after like the poor sort of people as much as he can and that sort of stuff. So it's pretty generic story wise, but the ingenuity comes from the fact that like Garrett is actually shit at fighting, and he is actually shit at fighting. So you've really got to stealth your way through it, and it's first-person stealth. You can, in the Thief 3, you could switch to a third-person view every so often, but it wasn't great. It was first-person, and it's basically, you mentioned before about bow and arrows being a big craze. This was the first game that really was about bow and arrows. That's his main weapon. But you can sort of douse your arrows in different things, so you can get flame ones or water ones. So you can, if you're in a corridor and you can see guards down the way and there's some torches, you can douse torches with your water arrows and this sort of stuff and stealth through. And it was just the levels were just so well made. The level design was amazing. Actually, in Thief 3, one of the guys who was the actual lead designer on BioShock 2 and has been working on BioShock Infinite made one of the levels called The Cradle.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Which is one of the greatest levels of all time. It's set in an abandoned child orphanage, which was also a mental home as well. And
oh, lovely.
It's really freaky. If you played BioShock 2, you'd know what kind of sort of
yeah.
this guy goes for.
Sounds like Guillermo del Toro's wet dream.
Yeah, and it's just a brilliant game. It's just a very, very, very good game. It's a well-made game. It empowers you. You've got complete freedom to do whatever you like. It's very much those kind of games that are coming out at that time, like your Deus Exes and your System Shocks and that sort of stuff. It's that kind of vein. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I think it's one that's going to look out for, and hopefully it'll sell well, because I don't think the brand, if you call it a brand, is particularly well known at the moment. So they've got a bit of a job on their hands to get into the public sphere. But hopefully it'll be playable at E3 apparently. So that should be good.
Yep.
So that's a little bit about FIFA there, Bob. I think we'll talk about EA a little bit, because EA are having a bit of a tough time at the moment. EA, everyone was loving them last year, but now everyone's hating them again now. And they've had a bit of a tough week with those rumours of Dead Space 4, which hasn't even been announced, being cancelled, and the system going on just being put on hold. EA say this is not true. There was a website that set a source saying that this was completely true, and they ran the story. EA have said that it's completely false, and that it's still an integral IP. And then the other bit of bad news for them is that SimCity launched to great reviews, but unfortunately no one can play it, because you've got to be always online for it. And we talked about this last week, 2 weeks ago, on the podcast, worries about the infrastructure of broadband and whether we're going to be ready for this kind of thing that developers want us to go down, well, publishers want us to go down. And basically, you have got to be online on it all the time, and it's all based on servers and wherever you are in the world and all that sort of stuff. But apparently, you've got a queue to get into the game, which is ridiculous.
It's like old towers.
Yeah, and you've got when you actually do get onto a game, the servers are so weak and there's so much traffic that they're just booting people, and then you're losing your cities and all that sort of stuff.
That's just terrible. That's unforgivable.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous situation. I know, as predominantly console gamers, a gamer that I am, and I know that you are, Matt, we don't really have to put up with this sort of stuff, which obviously PC gamers are having to put up with them on a more regular basis now. Obviously, Diablo 3 was a clusterfuck last year as well. I'm worried that this is going to be the future for the next few years until the countries sort out the broadband situations, and until people sort out the servers. Because that's the great thing about Xbox Live, is that Xbox Live as a platform for servers is great, because you have to pay £40 a year for it to be great. That's the reason why it's good, because you're paying for it. All these other ones that you don't pay for, they don't have the same maintenance on them, and they just can't put up with it. And now, I know, Bill, you're more of a PC gamer, and you were shocked, weren't you, when you heard about SimCity?
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know about this, because I was actually going to go and buy it this week, because I've been waiting for it. I saw some footage at E3, and I was like, oh, this looks amazing. I never actually played the original SimCity, but it just looks really, really good. But yeah, then you told me today, or whatever, that this has happened. I was like, oh no. So, I'm putting my little purchase on hold for now. Yeah, it seems
it's what we've
crazy.
We've got to look forward to in the future. Like, I mean, if this is for just PC on SimCity, can you imagine next year when Destiny comes out on PS4 and next Xbox?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, PS4 is going to be like, not necessarily always on, but they're saying the new Xbox might be. Yeah. And obviously, the future of it is these shared worlds and online experiences that, especially with the PlayStation conference, they were really pushing that point, weren't they? It's all about interactivity and connectivity with people, and it's just like, it's just going to poison the console space now, this kind of thing, and it's not acceptable. It's just bullshit.
It is, yeah. It's I mean, the thing is, like, I think PC gamers get angry about it, and rightly so. But they kind of they're used to it in a kind of way, because they know this sort of thing can happen. But console gamers aren't. And you imagine when the PS4, they go midnight launch for the PS4, get it home, turn it on, and then they have to queue up to wait for a game for
everyone all at once flicking it on for the first time. Oh my god, the rage that's going to come out on the internet is just going to be unprecedented, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you always expect teething problems, but you also expect that once you pay £40 for a game, that you're going to be able to just go and play it.
Yeah.
And that's the crux of the argument here, I think. I mean, regardless of when it's the online or not, and I know the actual online side of it is quite integral to the way that SimCity plays. It's unbelievable situation that in 2013 that people that have gone out and bought this game can't play it, especially when it happened last year with Diablo 3 as well.
Yeah, first world problems, eh?
yeah. We'll talk about first world problems as well. So Dead Space 4, the Dead Space franchise, I'd be sad to see it go. I don't like the direction that Dead Space 3 went in.
You shouldn't have put Elton John in it. He killed it.
Yeah.
My problem with Dead Space 3 was, and it's the same problem that to an extent that we're having with the Aliens franchise, was that there was just too many necromorphs. And it got to the point where you basically go into a room and then they flood you with necromorphs, kind of like a wave, like in Firefight or something.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously, again, like Aliens, all of a sudden we're fighting humans in Dead Space, and then we're fighting humans and necromorphs at the same time.
Yeah.
It was a bit too much, wasn't it?
And that was what I wasn't a big fan of. I think Dead Space 2 got the mix pretty much perfect. It was a bit more bombastic. It wasn't quite as scary as the first one, but then it was a bit. They kind of got that kind of. They got it right, I think, in that one. And I feel sorry for Visceral Games because I feel like EA have kind of said, we want co-op, we want this, we want that, we want this. And a lot of it was forced on them. And then if they do decide to cancel the franchise, they've only got themselves to blame. What I'd like to see is basically just see it given a break for a couple of years and then bring it back and just go back to its roots again and just do like completely new characters. Still be going on about like the kind of necromorphs, and you don't even have to go about necromorphs. Actually, you can just give it a complete refresh, or just go back to its roots and just start again. Well, what do you think, Matt? You obviously reviewed Dead Space 3. I think you've enjoyed it a bit more than I did, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, I love the franchise. It's one of my favourite franchises on the 360. In fact, I think Dead Space, the original, was probably in my top 5 games of this generation. But I just want to see the back of it for a while. Like you're saying, I don't like this, if not yearly, then bi-yearly kind of iteration on things all the time. It's a really poisonous, shitty business model that I can't stand. And like Bill was rightly ranting about with Assassin's Creed, like money kills creativity. And the minute you're answering to a committee that are basically telling you you've got to do this and that with your game, it's got to be better this year, you've got to add co-op in because co-op's what people like now, you've got to have fucking microtransactions in it, for Christ's sake. That brings, that's a whole other kettle of fish. I mean, I don't want to pay £40 for a game and then have to pay to essentially cut out chunks of that game because I'm either impatient or not good enough to progress. It's like, if it was free to play, and I think in a way I made a bit of a mistake including the Dead Space 3 thing in my free-to-play hate box because it's not the same as something like League of Legends or something like that. If the game itself was free to download from Xbox Live and PSN and then you had to pay for the other stuff, fair enough. It's not free. It's £40, and then why am I going to spend extra money to get these tokens, to buy more salvage, to do more things? Why put something in a game, like a whole new crafting system, and then hamstring it in that way? It's like, you want people to be excited about your new element to your game, but in order to do that, they're going to have to pay for it. And that diluted it, I mean, as I said last week, I may have given it a slightly lower score. I still would have scored it within the 8s, I think. I gave it an 8.9, but it's probably nearer to an 8.1 or 2. But, I still stick by it. It's a great game. But it doesn't need anything else. They wrap the story up. There's, spoiler alert, if you haven't finished Dead Space 3 yet, then literally the next 10 seconds, that's all you need to skip forward. But there's a little bit at the end, basically. I'm not even going to say what it is. It's just the usual post-credits little speech to kind of tease you for a 4th instalment. And I just groaned when I got to that point. I thought, this story's done, this character's done, he's had his arc, you don't need to go any further with it, please don't make another one.
Yeah, and it's funny, ironically enough, another EA sort of developer, BioWare, I've got this really spot on because they did Mass Effect. They did the Mass Effect trilogy, and I think the Mass Effect trilogy is the best game series on current gen. That is my favourite one.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think they got better each one, regardless of what you thought of the last 5 minutes of Mass Effect 3.
People who don't like the ending, it's got its problems. You can fuck off.
It's still a great game. It's still the best of the series. They've brought out a brilliant DLC. They've brought out another brilliant pack yesterday, or the day before, sorry. And they've said, right, that's it. That's the end of the trilogy. Shepard's done for. The next series is going to be on the next gen. It's going to be Mass Effect, but it's going to be completely different lead. It's going to be different storyline. We want to keep the franchise going, but we want to keep it the pillars of the franchise, which is exploration, RPG, and shooting. And we're going to move again. And they've stuck to the guns and they've done it. And they've probably had a lot of pressure from EA saying, do this, do that, do this. And I think they've made a cave to it a little bit, putting the multiplayer in there. But the multiplayer is free. You didn't have to pay anything extra for it. All the multiplayer packs are all completely free. And the single player game didn't suffer for it at all. No. That's the right way of doing it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just personally, from Mass Effect, I want to see a next-gen game where you play as a Krogan and it's a Connect 2.0 game, and all you're doing is you've got to attempt to breed and outdo the genophage. Jeez. And so it's just a Connect hip-thrusting game.
I want to see, from Mass Effect, the next Mass Effect, anything but a fucking prequel.
Yeah.
Swear to God, if they say it's a prequel, I will just be like, oh my God, I'll lose interest completely in it because...
Shepard the kindergarten years.
What's more to say about it? That's the whole point with Mass Effect, was that the Mass Effect trilogy actually was a story about from the start of humanity. It's the start of the universe to the end of the universe.
Exactly.
So there's nothing to say about it. You need to move forward. You need to, unless it's like millions of years in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what I was saying to you earlier. We were having a bit of a chat about Battlestar before the podcast, and it's like that again, that's other parallels with Mass Effect. That had a really divisive ending, and I totally understand why people hate that ending, because it's the kind of thing, again, I'm not going to say anything about it, but where you can kind of argue that they probably pulled it out of their arse in the last few months before the series ended, and people didn't like it. And since then, Battlestar's gone back. They did Caprica, which is the prequel series to how the Cylons kind of their genesis and things. And then you've got Blood and Chrome, which has just come out, which is about Captain Admiral Adama, who's the main guy in Battlestar, who leads the Battlestar, his kind of teenage years when he was first becoming a pilot and making a name for himself. And while I've enjoyed those, it is, you know what's going to happen. That's the problem with prequels. You know where it's going to end up. So there's not really... You can have emotion and drama and have lovely new characters and story arcs and still be powerful. But the problem is you know where it's going to end up, so there's no suspense there.
That's right. I mean, the only kind of prequel that I've ever been completely happy with in any kind of medium, really, is Knights of the Old Republic games. But that's because they went so far back that it didn't matter what had happened already in the style of things. Like, it was so far in the past that it might well have been in the future. You know what I mean? It didn't really matter. Like, and that's the way you have to go with it. Phil, you don't like Dead Space, do you?
No, I love Dead Space. I just don't like. I haven't played the third one yet. I played the first and second a couple of times, actually. The problem I had with it is that, a lot of people say this, and a lot of people say it was better, but the second game is obviously more of an action game. It's not really a horror game. Basically, they throw so many enemies at you that it's hard to be scared. But the first one was just really good, like just you creeping around on that ship, the Ishimura. You just got your little flashlight and you're going around. You do little puzzles. Well, they're not really puzzles, but sort of just have to fix things every now and then. I just thought it was really interesting. It sort of the story was really slow, and there's sort of big breaks between when you go and meet characters and speak to them. And it was just really good. But the second one was sort of the second one was still good. I really liked it, but it was just a lot faster. And now I saw like the trailer at E3 for Dead Space 3, and I was like, oh, they've gone. It's even faster now. And there's even more enemies, and you have a co-op partner. Which instantly gets rid of any scares whatsoever, because you're just walking around together, joking, just I just if they make like Dead Space 4, what's that going to be like? It will be I think it like Assassin's Creed, either it needs to go back to its original roots, or it just needs to disappear again. Just stick it in a dumpster.
You wouldn't be sad if it never came back.
No, I wouldn't. I'll just go back and play Dead Space 1 again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I said, personally, it's one of my favourite series of this generation, and I don't want to see it again. I'd rather have those three games. And again, like you said, the third one's not spectacular, but it is a very good game. It's the weakest of the three, but that's a respectable trilogy, I think. They're really good games, and they do what they do the best, as we said. And so why, I say why do anymore? Fucking money's the answer, unfortunately. But I just, if you had an ounce of creative integrity, like, just leave it there, because, like we said, it said everything that needs to be said, and I think they should just move on to something else.
Fair enough, but I'm talking about moving on to something else. We are going to move on to something else.
Oh, that's a good segue.
Strong linking.
I like that one. Okay, so there's a couple of strong segues in this one so far.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to have a bit of fun now. So obviously, I know the last bit of real big news this week was the video game BAFTAs that were at the house. And this is a great award show. It's a lot better than Spike TV, because it's actually it's not just a load of adverts and stuff, and the winners aren't people that advertised the game on the show last year. And basically, it's the video game Oscars, and there are some interesting ones there. So what we're going to do is we're going to just read out the categories and who won, and we're going to say if we agree with it and who we think we should have won. Okay. So first one was the best action game in 2013. So in this section there was Borderlands 2, Mass Effect 3, Halo 4, Black Ops 2, Hitman Absolution, and Far Cry 3. Actually, before we say who won, who do you think should have won out of that lot?
Mass Effect 3.
Mass Effect. Mass Effect. Yep.
Yeah, I would probably say that as well, but even though I'd say it as an RPG more than an action game, but I'd say that or Halo 4, to be honest, but the winner was Far Cry 3.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, so obviously...
Don't get me started.
Those shaders. Those shading, the shadows that go around all the objects in the game?
Oh, yeah, anti-aliasing.
Yeah, I know. Friggin' hell.
You're obviously playing the PC version of that, because if you played the console version,
I was playing. I played the PC version.
Oh yeah,
and it runs.
I played
so
Eurogamer as well, and it was beautiful. It was my game of the show, and then I played the Xbox version. I was like, "What the fuck have they done with my game?"
No, it was a horrible port.
I have the same feelings of Far Cry 3 that I had in Assassin's Creed 3, is that it had so much potential, and I think it was a good game, but it just struggled so much on the current gen console.
Like I said, I actually got really motion sick with it, and I never do with games. It was just so juddering, especially in the kind of cutscenes where they take control away from you and you're talking to characters. It's just the camera would sway around because you're supposed to be in his head. And oh my god, I honestly just wanted to vomit. I had to look away from the screen sometimes, and it wouldn't have been like that if it had been smooth frame rate.
There you go. So, best action game, we do not agree, especially Matt.
No.
Agree with that one. Okay, next section was gaming innovation in 2013. So we had this one was bizarre. Listen to these stuff in this game. Connect Sesame Street TV.
Oh, that is mental. That's mental.
Journey on PS3. Wonderbook, Book of Spells, aka Book of Spells. Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Oh,
what?
That doesn't innovate at all. That doesn't do anything. Just adds more ranks.
Fez. Okay, Fez and the Unfinished Swan. So, what do we reckon should have won out of that? I would probably lean towards Fez or Journey, to be honest. I'd probably go with Journey in that one myself.
I haven't played any of those games apart from, ironically, well, actually, no, I'll tell you, I played Black Ops 2, but I played Sesame Street Connect TV, and I have a 6-year-old daughter. Oh. I'd go for that because I loved it. And she could talk to the characters. Obviously, it's not really talking to them, but I think it's a nice way to educate her. Obviously, it's nothing we'd be interested in, but it was really lovely to see her do that. Black Ops 2, though, that's like a fucking, I don't know, it's like a donkey sticking a toilet roll on its forehead and calling itself a unicorn. It's just adding a tiny bit of choice in a game doesn't mean it's innovating. It's innovating in its own sphere. It's not innovating in gaming in general, is it?
That is bad. That's a bad choice.
What do you reckon would have won that one, Bill?
I haven't played any of them, but from what I've seen of it, because I'm also an artist, I would go with the Unfinished Swan because that looks just amazing. I really like the art style, so yep, I'll go for that.
Okay, that was the winner, Unfinished Swan. So
that's right.
I think a lot of people thought Journey were going to win that one, but there you go. Okay, so
I'd really love to play Journey. I'm going to actually pick up a PS3 mainly for that.
Same,
I think it just looks lovely. I know it's only a couple of hours long, but that's what I love about Sony. I think they really, as we said last time, they just push towards these indie developers and these really artistic games, and so I think I need to get into that. I think before the next gen comes. So yeah, I guess Unfinished One's a good choice.
Cool. Okay, we'll whip through these ones. We've got some good reader questions to do as well, so we won't dwell too long. So next one was artistic achievement in 2013. So we had Dear Esther, The Room, Far Cry 3, Borderlands 2, Halo 4, and Journey. Yeah, I probably would have gone with Journey on this one, maybe Halo 4, because to be honest, Halo 4 was stunning. Like, how they managed to get that run on the Xbox, I don't know. But yeah, I would have probably gone with Journey on that one. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, agreed. Again, I've not played it. Seen some kind of videos of it though. I didn't want to spoil it for myself. But yeah, in terms of art style and things, it looks lovely. Yeah. Far Cry 3 though, why? It just looks like a normal game. It's lovely, but yeah. Anyway,
Bill?
Well, I would go with Dear Esther. That's like one of my games of the generation. It's amazing. I've played it. I don't even know how many times. I just load it up every now and then and just walk around. It's just so nice. Really nice music. Really nice narration. Yeah, it's just great. Everyone should go and play it. It's really cheap on Steam as well.
Cool. Well, unfortunately, the winner was Journey.
Oh,
there you go. Well, not unfortunately. Journey was a great game, so it's been getting. So that's fair enough. Okay, so mobile and handheld in 2013. This one, yeah. But although there was a good winner in this one, there was The Room, Super Monsters Ate My Condo.
What?
What
the hell is that?
I don't know. It sounds a thing. Inkaboto, New Star Soccer, Little Big Planet Vita, or The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, obviously, for me.
Yeah.
Walking Dead, without doubt.
Yeah, that was the winner. What a game. We'll come on to that a little bit later on, but what a game that was. So there we go. Okay, audio achievement in 2013. So we've got a few of the usual suspects here: Dear Esther, Assassin's Creed 3, Halo 4, Beat Sneak Bandit.
What the hell?
Far Cry 3 and Journey. I would have gone with Halo 4 for this one myself. I thought it was a stunning sound design in that game. What about you guys?
Don't know. So sound design. Sorry, I actually missed that category there.
Sound.
I don't know. Yeah, I loved it. I tell you, one of the best things I liked about Halo actually was the Marty O'Donnell less soundtrack. I thought he's such an integral part of Halo, and I'm not a Halo fan. I said that last time. The one exception is the music. I think it's got some of the best music in video games. It's absolutely stunning. It's just like an epic kind of film saga kind of soundtrack, and I was worried they'd lose that, but I thought the soundtrack was fantastic, and the guns sound a lot better, a lot more punchy and more realistic and things. So yeah, I think Halo's a good shout.
Okay, what about you, Bill?
Diesta. Even though I did like Halo's guns, they did sound very good.
Okay, that was Journey again. Journey was winning quite a lot of these ones, so...
This is the problem, though, not having played it, it's really hard to kind of make a reasoned judgment.
I'd probably be saying Journey, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, so best multiplayer in 2013. So this was obviously quite a heat... There's some heavy hitters in this one. There was Journey again, Assassin's Creed 3, Black Ops 2, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Halo 4, Borderlands 2. I think I would have gone with Halo 4 again on this one. I love the multiplayer in Halo 4, but that's my choice, guys.
I'd probably go for Assassins. I think it's got one of the best multiplayer suites of this generation. I think it's actually, with Assassin's Creed, obviously we ranted a lot about it earlier. I think the multiplayer is one of the best parts of it. It's unique, it's fun. It requires a bit of brains if you want to play it properly. It's not just another shooter, so yeah, I'd go for that. Although it's blatantly not going to be the winner.
Yeah, Phil.
Well, definitely not Call of Duty Black Ops. That can just piss off. Halo 4, probably. I really like that. It was, fun.
Yeah, well, again, it was fucking Journey again.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, there we go. Okay, so, next one. So, we'll leave best game till last, actually, because there's a few of them. We won't go through all of them. We'll just go through a few interesting ones here. So, obviously, best story was Walking Dead, obviously.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
I haven't finished it yet, though.
You're not finished yet?
You need to finish it so we can have a proper conversation.
Yeah, I'm up
it's,
to...
it's stunning. The ending
4.
is amazing.
Episode 4, so yeah, almost there.
Great story. I'm dubious about whether it can be known as a game, like some of the other ones are.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But it's a great story, and it's sort of... I think they've given themselves a very easy sort of thing where you got some games that... Some properties that are like, how do we make a game out of this? Let's give it to Telltale Games, and they'll make it, and they'll do it that way. I think it's really good that way. What else is interesting on here? Best British game. Obviously, the BAFTAs are a British one. That was Room, beating out the likes of Forza Horizon, Need for Speed Most Wanted, and Lego Lord of the Rings, which was one of my favourite games of last year, actually. I love that game.
Just quickly, remind me, is The Room an iOS game? Do you know? Because it rings a bell. I'm sure I've seen it on the App Store.
I've never heard of it before.
But,
yeah, it is an iOS game, yeah.
Yeah. It's a puzzle game, I think, isn't it? I know it's supposed to be very good, but I haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one, the main one that everyone kind of... the main award is the best game of 2013. So, again, some heavy hitters in this one. Matt, you're going to hate this one. Far Cry 3.
Fuck off!
FIFA 13. The Walking Dead. Journey, Mass Effect 3, and Dishonored. So, I would go with Mass Effect 3 on this one, and I'm going to just let you both know now it didn't win.
I know who the winner was anyway. I agree with you.
Yeah, it was. I think it should have been Mass Effect 3. It was Dishonored, and let me make it clear, I absolutely fucking love Dishonored. And as soon as I finished playing it the first time, I started right again from the start and started playing it again, and I very rarely do that these days. I loved it. It was really, really good. But I think Mass Effect 3 was the best one because I just think it was the best trilogy capper I think I've ever played anyway. And it did something, it actually followed through on a lot of its promises, which a lot of games don't do. And I think the thing why I think people forget about Mass Effect 3 is that it came out this time last year. And I think if it came out in October or November, I think people would have been talking more about it being Game of the Year. And obviously the ending controversy didn't work in its favour either. But that's my bit. What would you have picked for Game of the Year, Bill?
Oh, Mass Effect, definitely. That was just... It just feels so epic and emotional, especially... I won't spoil anything, of course, but especially towards the end, you just... When you know that it's sort of... Because, it's a trilogy you've been playing for years now. It just felt really sad to actually, know that it's going to end. Just sort of get slowly making your way towards the ending. I didn't care about, that ending. It was fine. I thought it was a bit stupid how much people carried on about it. They did release an extended cut, whatever the hell it was, on Xbox Live, which I think was not very good. But it wasn't a good thing to do. But it was just really good. I just felt so emotional when I was playing it.
I did as well. It was kind of like there's a lot of people ask us on the Facebook group, what kind of game would you like to make if you could make a game? And they already have it. It was Mass Effect series. It was something where you start off a series of games, and every single decision that you make will well, not every single one, but most of the story will carry on through what you do for the other games.
Yeah.
That's what I'd always wanted since I was younger. I used to love reading those books where, you choose your own adventure.
Yeah, damn right.
Good.
And that's what it was. And hopefully there'll be more of that sort of thing in the next generation. They talk about it with The Walking Dead, where the next season of The Walking Dead games is going to carry over your decisions.
Yeah, I think the next gen's only going to bring more and more options for this kind of thing. Although I will quickly say, Mass Effect does it right. I love The Walking Dead. If it was more of a game, which obviously we'll talk about another time, it would probably have been my game of the year. But I think Walking Dead, one thing that is a problem with it is it actually presents you with the false illusion that your choices matter, because they actually don't, a lot of them. I replayed it thinking, I'm not going to spoil anything, but let's say in episode 1, I chose to save someone over somebody else. I thought, this is going to be brilliant. I'm going to go back and do this again, and I'm going to get to carry that other person all through these episodes. Well, guess what? No, you don't. He still dies. All you get is a slightly different reaction from the character. Why didn't you try to save him or something? And that, that's a bit cheeky.
Yeah, I was talking to a mate about that actually, and obviously most people have played at least one or two of the episodes, and if you haven't, just tune out for about the next 20 seconds. But basically, every single time you're in the game, when you have a choice of saving someone and the other one must die, in a later episode, maybe later on in that episode or in the next episode, that person you save dies.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you always end up at the same point as everyone.
It's false choice. It's all an illusion in that game. And I think the only time that changes, and obviously I'm not going to spoil anything because I know you've not finished it yet, Bill, is I think there's a certain degree of choice in who you get to take into the last episode with you. But even that only is a choice out of characters you've only really just met in the previous hour. It's not people you've been with through from the beginning, which I think is a massive wasted opportunity. That game has more emotional impact than any other game I've ever played, but they could have pushed it even further if they'd carried on some of those characters from the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. We'll move on to some questions there, actually. So we've got a couple of quick ones. We've already answered a couple of people's questions there. So Denise Baker asked us what our thoughts were about the BAFTAs. So there you go. That was a little bit of an extended one there. And I'd just like to point out as well, there's been some amazing questions this week. Really good ones. And some of them are so strong that they're simply not big. They're too strong for the FATcast, unfortunately, to fit in. So what we're going to do is there's a couple of them what we're going to take aside, and we're actually going to build discussions about them for future FATcasts because there's some really good ones. So there's a couple of quick ones here. So Luke Mitchell asks, will GTA 5 see a next gen release as well? Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
Of course it will.
Anti-aliasing.
That's all you need to know.
I wouldn't
Fingerless gloves.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised though if it was a timed exclusive for either Xbox or PS4.
Yeah, I could see it going Xbox.
Hitman Blood Money was like that, remember? It came on Xbox and then came out on Xbox 360 a year later or whatever.
Yeah, there was a whole host of them at the start of the last generation, and there's already been other ones that have been announced already, like your Assassin's Creeds and Destiny.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I mean, put it this way, I'm already sold on PS4, as we established last time. If GTA 5 Next Gen gets Xbox exclusivity, that's day one for me. There you go, you've just sold me an Xbox.
Obviously, Microsoft have got a very good relationship with Rockstar. They had the timed exclusivity on the DLC for GTA 4, which apparently didn't make enough money for how much Microsoft actually paid for the exclusivity on it, but they were happy to do it just because.
Yeah. That's a shame because they were fantastic.
No, they actually made a lot of money in the end, but basically Microsoft paid something like $40 million for the right.
I think it was 50 million actually.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so it was like they probably sold enough Xboxes to make enough money on it in the end, but so I reckon it will. I reckon it might come out on one or the other for 6 months, and then it'll get a C release and whatever console. Okay, so we've got a couple of quick individual questions here from Josh Tarter.
Oh, Tarps, friend of the podcast.
Friend of the I'll load that game. So Matt, he asks you to sum up new Tomb Raider game in one word.
Suffering. Failing that, tits.
Yeah, okay. Bill, one for you is, where are the fucking bodies? The cops are everywhere. We need to move them.
I don't remember. I've killed so many. I think I put them in sewers or something. I'll go back and look later and see if they're still there.
For people that don't know about Mr. Boreham, the character in Hitman, Agent 47, is actually based on him. So
he's looking at you right now, isn't he? Isn't that my profile picture?
Yes. Yeah. I'm having a conversation with him right now, so it's kind of on there. Okay, so Josh asked me a really kind of serious question, so that's kind of sad, but I don't mind anyway. He asked, how are you enjoying running the site and the podcast? He said, you're doing a great job. Do you want to go on a date? And that is a good kisser.
No drooling, I seem to remember.
Yeah, no drooling. He doesn't drool either. I like a bit of drooling. No, I'm actually getting married next year, Josh. Sorry, so I have to say no to that one, but I'm very flattered. I really enjoying running the site. It's a lot of work. It's a lot more work than what I thought it would have been, to be honest. When I decided to do it, because I have a full-time job as well, obviously other commitments and stuff. But I really enjoy it. It's brilliant. We're getting a lot of great feedback. We're getting a lot of support from Xbox World writers and PSM free writers, which is really, really good. And people seem to be enjoying it. And the work that I'm getting from Matt and Bill and some of the other contributors, Cameron, who's not on today, is really, really good. It's getting better, I think, and hopefully you'll agree. The quality of our writing is getting better. And hopefully, I want this to be a big thing. This is the reason why we're doing it. I don't want it just to be a little hobby. I'd actually love this to take off in a big way. And obviously, we need you guys to help us do that. So, like us, share us, follow us, tell your friends about us. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing, but we'll keep doing it as long as you guys keep enjoying it, and obviously the podcasts as well, which are always enjoyable. So that's those ones. That's those few little quick ones out of the way. So
yeah, just quickly actually, though, without wanting to suck each other's dicks for too long, I just want to say, yeah, it's really nice, and thanks for the opportunity, because it's really good fun. I really enjoy writing, and I don't get a chance to do it very often, so I'm kind of embracing this, and it's just nice to do this podcast and actually, get to chat to people who are as passionate as I am about games. So thanks for setting it up.
Yeah,
no problem.
It's good.
Yeah, okay. So we'll move on to these next little questions here. So Darby Van Houten asks, what is our first video game memory? Bill, I'll go for you first. So it was only probably lot wasn't as long ago as mine or Matt's.
Yeah, I was playing Halo the other day.
Yeah, that's your first. Yeah.
Connect Sesame Street.
Yeah, actually, there was another question, wasn't there? That was, what's your first WoW moment? Did you want to do? I think
I think that was the same question. I think it was part of the same.
Do you want to stick those two together? So your first memory and then your first WoW moment.
I think they were pretty much the same thing, I'd say.
Yeah, go for it.
I think the first time. Well, firstly, I remember seeing my brother playing Super Metroid, and basically at the beginning you escape from a ship, and you go down to the planet, and in your little ship, and you whatever the person's at, I can't remember, Samus or something like that, comes out the top, and it's like there's all this rain, and there's this nice music playing, and it's like really dark and moody, and you're walking along, and there's this, you go through the door, and apart from a little bit of music in the background, it's just completely silent. There's no enemies around. You're just walking through, and you go sort of down through all these like different doors and all these different sections, and then eventually you find like this enemy, and you go back out, and there's all these sort of creatures around and stuff. But it was just, I just always can remember that, and so clearly as well, because it's just that, like, I really like the opening when you're escaping the ship and stuff, but I just can remember that bit where you first come out of that ship and you're walking along, and it's just that rain. Because I love atmosphere in games and stuff, so that stuff is just amazing to me. So that's probably I did get to play it a couple of years later, but I remember that was the first thing I ever saw of it, and one of the first games I've ever seen. So
one of my personal favourites as well. I love the Metroid series. Matt, what's one of yours?
Show my age a bit now. I forget the name of the game. It's actually on the the arcade, the Xbox. Can't remember what they called, the indie thing where you could go in and it was like an arcade. You could wander around and play the really old games. But it was a cowboy game, and it was on the Atari 2600. And it had the worst. It was just two cowboys made out of blocks, basically. It was black and white, and there was just a cactus in the middle of the screen, and they just shoot square bullets at each other, and all you've got to do is move up and down with the second player and try and kind of shoot chunks out of each other. So that was my first memory. My first WoW memory was probably Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System. I'd never even heard of Sonic. I was in primary school and I was very young, and my best friend always used to draw little Sonic the Hedgehogs on his exercise book, and I was like, oh, what's that? And he's like, oh, it's Sonic, come around and have a look, it's really cool. And then I was like, I'm fucking getting me one of these when I saw it. It's just so good. So yeah, there we go.
All right. Okay, so I guess one of my first memories was I had one of those Spectrums that you had to actually put cassettes into to load up.
Oh, the good old cassettes with the static on the screen and everything.
Yeah. and you used to get you'd swap them with your mates in school, like in primary school when you're like 6 or 7, you come home with like 10 cassettes, and you try and load them all up, and then one of them might work.
20-minute loads for one level.
Yeah. But my first WoW moment was I had an Atari STE, and I was obsessed with The Secret of Monkey Island.
Oh, yes.
I was absolutely obsessed with it. And so was a couple of friends at school. There was about 4 of us that were like gamers, and we were all playing it. Now, the problem was you couldn't actually save the game. So we couldn't save it in those days. So we couldn't figure out how to do it. I don't know what it was. We were only like 6 or 7 or whatever. So basically what would happen was you'd go home, you'd talk about it all week with your mates, and you'd all find out where everyone was up to, and you'd sort of like try and figure out the puzzles together, because everyone kind of gets stuck at the same place. And you'd be like, what do we do in this bit? What should we do? And then you'd sort of like, that's all you talk about all week, because when you got home from school and did your homework and played football from outside or whatever, it was too late to even play it, because this game was such a long game in those days, or it felt like it. So but Saturday'd roll along, and you'd get up really early and go and switch on Secret of Monkey Island, and you'd play it as long as you could until you got stuck again, so you could physically go no further. And then you turn it off, and on Sunday you turn it back on again from the start, do everything you've already done, and then get up to that bit where you're stuck again trying to figure it out. Then you go back into school again on the Monday morning, and then all week you again talking about Monkey Island, where everyone was up to. One of the lads even kept notes and
brilliant.
kept where we were going up to. And then when we finally, one of us finished it, I think we all kind of finished it on the same weekend, and it was just like, such a huge sense of accomplishment. It took months to do it. And I loved the game so much that every single Saturday I'd play it again every Saturday. And I got to the point where I could finish it within like 3 hours. And then when it was re-released on Xbox Live Arcade, I downloaded it. And there was an achievement to finish the game in under 2 hours.
Yeah, I got that one as well. Those games were so gorgeous when they re-released them. I absolutely loved it.
They were. And like, I actually got that achievement finishing it in 2 hours on the first go. And I was like,
brilliant.
I must have been like a fucking stupid kid.
I've still got it. I'm
so much better at games now. But that's my first one anyway. So, okay, we'll move on. So, Rory Mulan asks us, what is the most underrated current gen title? Bill Boris.
Probably Stalker, I guess, because a lot of people haven't actually heard of it. Basically, it's sort of a lot of people probably have heard of Metro 2033. It's basically that. I think a lot of the guys.
Oh, don't talk to Dave about Metro.
Yeah, I know he hates it.
Don't even mention it. Dave's presence. But yeah, it's fucking brilliant game. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so it's sort of like that. It's an open world game. It's basically an open world version of Metro. Where Metro, you sort of go through the different tunnels, and you go out up on the surface every now and then. But basically, Stalker is just you're up on the surface, and there's like it's actually like probably the scariest game I've ever played, apart from Amnesia, which almost made me crap my pants. I had to close the game. You just sort of wander around. I guess you could say it's like Fallout minus all the humor. Sort of a very depressing game. It's a lot of guys just like sitting around a campfire. One of them be like crying, holding a picture of his wife. The other one's like sitting there playing the guitar. Another guy's got a pistol pushed to the side of his head. It's just you basically just walk around. You do sort of quests, and there's these mutants that run around, and it's just really, really dark. I was sort of surprised when I first played it. It feels very sort of adult, and sort of has things in it like it's got like suicide and people to have drug addictions and stuff. It's pretty. Yeah, that would.
Is it a little bit rapey?
No, it's not. It's not. There's actually no women in the game, so.
That's a bleak vision of the future.
Yeah, it's just all guys, all these Russian guys walking around.
Guys wanking around the fire.
Yeah. Thanks,
all right, I really look forward to this. You're writing an article about it for the website, aren't you, at the moment?
Oh, yeah, it's taken me a year to write it. I've actually stopped at the moment.
Well, actually, being in that apocalyptic world by the time you've written it.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be mine anyway.
Okay, cool. I really look forward to seeing it. Actually, you're going to be doing some stuff on the YouTube channel about it as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I was going to do a playthrough.
Cool. It's going to be really, really good. Really look forward to it. Matt, what's yours?
Oh, God, I'm looking at my game collection in front of me, actually. I could reel off several, which I won't go into too much, but I'll just give you a couple and then give you the one that I think is the most underrated, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because I could fucking talk all day about the most overrated. But, yeah, okay. Brutal Legend, the Tim Schafer game. Absolutely loved that. I understand why people didn't like it, because it was a bit of a Trojan horse of a game when it turned out it was actually an RTS, a lot of it, other than what it was. But it's just great fun if you like metal and stuff, which I do. Then it's brilliant. Alpha Protocol,
Yeah.
Which, very clunky stealth again, but in terms of, it's a bit like Mass Effect, but kind of crossed with 24. Brilliant, loved it. Alone in the Dark, simultaneously, I think someone else said it on Facebook once, and I agree, the best and the worst game ever at the same time.
That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that, and it did the kind of Alan Wake thing before Alan Wake did, and some of the things it did better than Alan Wake, some things obviously definitely didn't. But yeah, without going on too much more about any others, Lost Odyssey as well. Absolutely fantastic JRPG. It basically was what Final Fantasy 13 should be, and I think more people should have played it. But my favourite, most underrated game, Deadly Premonition. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I'm absolutely evangelical about that game. And the more people I can convince to play it and look past its obvious limitations, the better, because it's Twin Peaks the game, basically. It's full of the most wonderful characters, just the quirkiest characters you could ever come across in a video game. It's got the stupidest mechanics, like if you don't go and shower for a while or shave, you grow a beard, and you just walk around with a massive cloud of flies buzzing around you all the time, and no one will talk to you. Just batshit crazy stuff like that. As a game, it's appalling. It's got really bad mechanics, so you really have to look past all that. But it's open world. I should just quickly describe it. It's basically what Alan Wake I expected what Alan Wake was going to be like. It's an open world game, kind of David Lynch, Stephen King-ish kind of horror mystery with a lot of quirky humour thrown in, and it's a murder investigation for a lot of the game, just like Twin Peaks was. It's about the deaths of some children and a woman. I think
how David Lynch and Twin Peaks guys didn't sue these people. It is literally like he has the exact same conversations as they do in Twin Peaks.
Yeah. But I just like that he drives around and he's chatting to himself. He's got his imaginary friend in his head called Zach, and you'll be driving around in one of the game's cars that drive like a fucking metal box on wheels. They just don't even have any steering whatsoever or anything. And he'll just start randomly chatting to his invisible friend about 80s movie trivia and just really fun little facts about films that you didn't know and stuff, and just things like that. But even more so, I'd argue it's got one of the best stories of the generation, and it's a shame people can't, it's such a low budget game, a lot of people haven't heard of it, and if people did start it, they'd probably get put off by, it makes Aliens Colonial Marines look like Crisis. It's terrible, but its story is so good. It's about 30 hours long, full of twists and turns, and it's really emotional as well, and the revelation of what his invisible friend is and things towards the end. It's just a lovely, lovely game, and I just wish more people would play it. So that's mine.
I think one of the best ways to sum it up is the guy who's the director of the game, Swear It. He's like Hideo Kojima, but completely shit at making games.
Yeah.
But even more imaginative and better at
definitely. So, 10 times crazier, if you can imagine that.
And he's a lot better at telling stories as well. So that's that one. So that's a great choice. Yeah, if you've not played it, you should really go and get it and give it a lot of time. And it's a great game. My favourite one. This is probably no one will probably agree with me on this one, but my most underrated game of this generation is Fable 2. Because I love Fable 2. It was I really liked the original Fable, but this was pretty much the game that Fable was promised to be. And I was playing it again recently because I'm working on a big feature about Fable, the entire series, for the website, which actually one of the guys from Lionhead is actually helping us out with as well, which is really good for us. We should hopefully have that up on the site pretty soon. We've basically done an interview with him, Ted Simmons, and he's just been giving us some answers about just generally about Fable, the universe, and all that sort of stuff. And it's just a great game. Like it's really well made. It's got a few bugs, but you forgive that kind of size game doing that. I mean, it's an open world game. It is open world this time. Fable wasn't. Fable 2 is. It's got so much personality and character in the game. Like the whole world, like the world of Albion, and it's one of those questions that you see a lot of people ask. Like, if you were going to go and live in a computer game world, which one would you live in? And like most computer game worlds are absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
But Albion isn't. It's like obviously there's a few not nice things going on, but all the people that live there, unless they're getting chased by balverines or something, they're all having a good laugh. They're all sitting around watching people fart and drink beer at each other and kick chickens. It's a very British game as well. I know I live in Ireland and I'm like my family are Irish, but I grew up in England, and it's a very kind of British kind of game as well, and it wears its heart on its sleeve. And the voice acting is superb. It's really funny. The fighting mechanics are really good in it as well. The customization is brilliant. And Fable 3 isn't as good. It's better in some areas, but not as good in some others. And I just think Fable 2 was kind of just like, it's kind of the anti-Skyrim in a way, which is fine. I love Skyrim, but it's nice to have a little bit of a break from that. And I just really love it. I know a lot of people don't like Fable, but those lot can fuck off.
I'm one of those, unfortunately, but if we've got the Lionhead guy helping us out, I better not shit talk it, so I'll keep quiet. But...
I think that most people that do work for Lionhead do know it's like it's an acquired taste in a lot of ways. Because, and I think it's not even so much because of the game. I think it's because of the actual personality of the game that it just rubs people the wrong way sometimes. And I think obviously a lot of people don't like Peter Molyneux, and
that's one of my main problems. I think to me the Fable series is just, I can sum it up in 2 words, which is just wasted potential for me. It's not that I don't like it; it's just I think there's so much they could do with it that they don't. But yeah, I loved all the quirky humour and stuff. I mean, one of my favourite things in the third one was being called a twat by a garden gnome. I just love that. So yeah, I mean, you can't say a game's all bad if you've got a gnome that calls you a twat, can you?
Yeah. I mean, I agree in a way. There is a lot of wasted potential, and that's actually. That is one of the things to talk about in the feature, is that hopefully this next generation Fable will be everything that you wanted. But Fable 2 for me is one that's come as close, and I really like it. So that's my answer for that one anyway.
Cool.
Let us know if you agree on online. Like, I'm sure some of you do, I'm sure some of you don't with our choices. Okay, so Lewis Homer asks us if we could wipe our memory completely clean and approach one game again from the start completely fresh, which one will it be? Bill, over to you.
Super Metroid again, just for the beginning. Just for that first 10 minutes or whatever, just because it was so good. But another game I'd probably choose is Halo Combat Evolved. Not the first mission, which is a bit crap. It's sort of basically just Doom going through corridors. But when you first arrive on the planet, and you're in the shuttle and you crash, and Master Chief wakes up and there's all these Marines around him that are dead, and Cortana's like talking to you, and you walk out and it's just like all these green fields, and you can look up in the sky and you can see the big halo going through the center of the sky, and then she's telling you, like Cortana's telling you to run across the bridge, and there's like the Covenant are coming. You look and you see this big ship flying towards your crash ship. You go running across this bridge, and there's these banshees in the sky, and they're firing at you, and it's just really crazy. But yeah, I just remember looking at the grass for ages because it was the best grass I'd ever seen. What,
better than in real life?
Yeah, and it's completely flat. But if you just look at it, I was just get my sniper rifle out and just zoom in and just sit there, just looking at it for ages, and then I'll just walk off. But yeah, so I'd probably choose that because it's just so, just the music and. Yeah, it's got so many good moments in it. So yeah, that.
Brilliant. Matt, what about you?
I'd like to say Final Fantasy VII, but that was my answer to one of the questions on the last podcast, so I won't. It's kind of a hard one without really thinking about it, but I think maybe Oblivion, because that was my first Elder Scrolls game. And just, again, it's well documented. The moment when you leave the tunnel, I mean, I played the tutorial when you're going through the sewer, and I thought, this game's shit. This isn't what I expected. And then you emerge into the daylight and you suddenly realise you've got this big world and can just do whatever you like. So, yeah, I think that would be it for me.
Good. I'm not going to answer what my favourite game is of all time, which was obviously Deus Ex, and that would be one of them. But one of my favourite players of all time, game of all time, and one I'd like to do would be Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Oh, yeah, good shout.
I got this game for Christmas when I was still in high school, actually. I think I was 15, I was just about to turn 16, and it was, and I actually had to go with my mum to buy it because the game opened at 7 in the morning for it, which was unheard of those days, because just especially for N64, and I had to wait for like 2 weeks to play it for Christmas Day, and I was absolutely dying to play it, and I remember the Christmas Day, I just got it, ran straight upstairs, played it all day, went down for my dinner, went back upstairs, played it again, and it was unbelievable. And I actually hadn't finished it before we had to go back to school for after the Christmas holidays, and we had our mock exams, and I actually threw a sickie on the first day.
Yeah.
So I could go back home for a week and finish off Zelda.
That's the sign of a good game. Actually, just quickly, I think Mario 64 would have been a good shout as well. First proper 3D game I ever played, was brilliant. So yeah.
So that's that one. So maybe if I wipe my mind and start playing it again, I'd phone in for a whole week sick at work as well, but probably not. Well, that might be nice. Okay, so last question is from James Monteith.
Friend of the podcast.
And this one is a very serious one, so I'll give this one a lot of thought. If you woke up in the morning and realised that you had bear claws for fingers, what would be your first course of action?
Strong question.
Yeah.
From Mr. Monteith there. Yeah. I think I'd probably go do what I normally do in the morning, and I'll wake up, I'll stumble into the bathroom bleary-eyed and take my penis in hand, try and have a piss and slash it to ribbons, shriek and spray blood all over the bathroom. That would be my answer.
That would be horrible. What about you, Bill?
I already answered it, didn't I? You got all angry at me because I already answered it on there. I said I'll just go to the toilet. Like Matt, just everyone heads to the toilet. I'll go sit down and see if I can wipe my butt afterwards. See if it's actually possible.
That would be quite painful. If I woke up with bear claws and fingernails, hopefully I'd notice before I went to the toilet. I actually don't go to the toilet straight away when I wake up. I kind of just lie around in a daze for a few minutes. And just
you're all right then. I've got a bladder like a wall. I can't do it.
Every morning when I wake up, I kind of just wake up and just takes me about 2 minutes to sort of even contemplate getting out of bed. So I probably wouldn't realise by that point, and I'd probably just go to the chiropodist or something.
I can imagine you actually like in a first-person game sometimes where they wake up out of unconsciousness and you've got the screen going black where they're blinking and then these claws come up in front of you.
Man, yeah. God, that reminds me actually. I have to show you guys, and you got to look this up on YouTube. Xbox World editor Tim Weaver showed me a video, something on YouTube the other day, right? And it's from this film. I can't remember the name of the film, but if you search for it, you'll find it. There's a guy who's in hospital, and he wakes up on a hospital bed, and there's a doctor with a syringe who's about to inject him with it, and it shows you his arm, and his arm has been replaced by a snake.
What the hell?
He got bitten by a snake, and his arm has turned into a snake, and then the arm gets up as it gets injected and rips the nurse's jaw off.
Nice. Awesome.
And then the guy starts going, ah, and looking at his snake. It is unbelievable. If you just search for man with snake hand or something, yeah, it's everything you'd expect and more. It was amazing. So yeah, that's it. So that's what would happen if we got bear claws.
It's a good note to end on, I think, isn't it?
Hopefully it'll never happen. If we had bear claws, we probably wouldn't be able to write a lot on the website, so that'd be quite difficult. So,
although on the plus side, it might be easier to type on a fucking iPad. Well, you might put your fingers through the screen, I guess, but yeah, hopefully not. So you never know. Silver linings and all that.
Brilliant. Okay, so that's us for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We will be back again in 2 weeks' time, unless a disaster happens, or unless something really important happens. Because obviously, if something happens, like say a new console gets announced, we will do a special podcast to celebrate it and talk about it. So in the next 2 weeks' time, we'll probably be talking a lot about BioShock, as that will just be about to be released. We've got a lot of BioShock content coming onto the site, and around that time as well, we're all going to be doing a few pieces on that. And we've got a few good things to look out for in the time being as well. Just before we go, just another thank you for your support so far. But we'd just like to say, join the community on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and don't be afraid to come and say hello and get your opinion out on there. The community is really, really good. They're really open to different people's opinions. We've not had to, step in on any of the discussions so far. There's been no flaming. There's been no insults or anything like that. It's been really, really positive. So please, if you're a bit shy of saying hello, don't be. And please tell all your friends about us. All your likes and comments and shares on Facebook make a huge difference to how many people see our work. And obviously, we want as many people as possible to see it, so we can keep doing this sort of thing. So thanks for your support so far. Hopefully you can help us grow a little bit bigger. So from me, Matt and Bill, that's it for today. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Stay chubby.